Hello, Kelly Bastow. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah.
People know you on Instagram as Moose Kleenex.
Mhm.
Can you tell me how you came up with this name?
It's from when I was 13 years old and I was making my first DeviantArt account with a friend of mine.
Deviant art. I remember that.
Way back in 2003.
And do you love moose? Like what, how did it come together?
Um, I don't know, it was just two random words. The province that I'm from is known for moose, so maybe that was just on the tip of the tongue. I don't know.
And
But
where do you live?
well, right now I'm in Toronto, but I'm from Newfoundland, which is on the east coast of Canada.
Um, is that the really snowy place? Are you in like the place that's very cold and gets a lot of snow, or is that
It's
Newfoundland?
It's foggy and windy
Foggy and windy.
and dreary.
Okay, well, that's a perfect segue into what do you do for your self-care, for your mental self-care?
Um, hmm, Mental self-care. Um, I guess try to remind myself that it's okay to not be productive. I think a lot of people, especially friends and colleagues, just feel like they have to be producing stuff all the time. And they're they kind of berate themselves if they're not producing or working or so they need to just allow themselves to be human and not do anything. So that's what I try to do, like just don't do anything, just do something pleasurable for no reason, um, whether that's just have a walk or do some reading or dance around or yeah, just that mental reminder that you're okay just being here. That's something that I've struggled with a lot in the past, and I'm just kind of realizing now that it's not very good.
So knowing, like an inner knowing that even if you're not producing, how we've been taught, like if you produce a lot, if you're always busy, if you're always exhausted, if you always can say, I just don't have enough time, then that means that you are a good person and that you deserve to walk the earth. And you're saying, just don't do anything sometimes, just chill.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard. It actually, for sure.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, I said it's hard to grasp, and it kind of takes practice almost to just unplug and just let yourself relax.
Do you do that in a conscious way? Do you like have a time in a day when you say, I'm just not going to do anything right now?
I try to do that on the weekends. Yeah.
You produce a lot of work. So I mean, at least it looks like that from following your Instagram feed. So, and much of your work is about body acceptance, which I think a few years ago was like a radical brave thing to do is how people would describe it. And I hope now it's getting to be just more regular because we're accepting that people's bodies are just how they are, and it's not a brave act to be who you are. It just is a fact, and that's good. You know what I mean? But your pieces will highlight all the different kinds of body types, all shapes and sizes and colors, and they're really beautiful. Do you get feedback from people about how they feel about them?
Yeah, it's really heartwarming to hear from people like I see myself in your art and I've never seen myself before. Yeah, that's really heartwarming to hear.
Have you always done this type of art, or was this part of the journey? Like, did you start someplace else and now you do this?
Uh, yeah, the kind of patterns and naked ladies and body positive stuff has been in the last 5 years ish, but I kind of really enjoy making those pieces now, so they've kind of become a part of my vernacular. Yeah.
Mhm. I actually own one of yours that I got
Really?
yeah, I got it like 2 years ago, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's got different sized nude women of all colors on it. I love it. It's in
Is
storage
it a
right now.
printer and
What's that?
is it a printer and original?
I can't remember. I can't remember. I'll have to look when I get it out of storage. My life is in storage right now. Um, so some of the stuff that you do is paneled and you talk like not a comic. Is that the right word? A comic? I feel like that's not the right word. Like there's got to be a,
I guess autobiographical.
yeah, yeah. And you're describing stuff that's happening to you or thoughts that you're having in your day. Um, I'm wondering what kind of feedback you get about those in particular.
Um, a lot of people just saying they can relate, and they're kind of glad that someone else put it into words, um, which is also very heartwarming to hear. And I do get like very sweet messages, especially if I'm being kind of self-deprecating or just expressing some kind of insecurity. I, I kind of realize that I'm not alone because a lot of people deal with the same thing.
How do you get started sharing something so personal like that? Was that scary?
No, I've never had any kind of hang-ups about posting that kind of stuff. You know, I don't know if I'm just shameless or whatever, but it just seemed like a natural thing to do, to just share what I'm thinking about and put it out into the world, I guess.
I share on the personal side too, and I hear from people that it is scary, but I tend to be like you. It just comes naturally. I don't think beforehand, oh, here I go. Here's going to be a big share. I just share from my heart, and then people later say, wow, that was really brave, but it never feels brave. It feels when I do it like it's necessary, like I'm getting something out of me and putting it into the world, and it feels natural and kind of vital, like I'm cleaning house a little bit
Yeah, and
mentally.
it can process it as well.
Say that one more time.
Oh, I said it can help you process it too, and like kind of work it out in your own mind.
Yeah. What else do you do for self-care? Like,
Um, I try to get out of the house every day, whether it's just for a coffee or like a walk around the block. Um, I try to not eat too much junk food because after a while that makes me feel really low and lethargic. Um, keep in touch with my friends and people who I love. Um, uh,
that's
draw.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you draw just for you, or do you share everything that you end up drawing?
And that's interesting actually because I've been worried if social media has been affecting what I draw too much. So I'm about to do like a little experiment where I don't post anything on social media and see how it influences what I draw.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you think that it has been, like, what's your suspicion around how it's affecting what you're drawing?
And just that the amount of likes or retweets kind of is making me subconsciously think like, oh well, if I post another similar image like that, then people will like it, and maybe I should do that because then I'll get more validation. um, yeah, but I don't want it to be influenced. I want to draw what I want to draw, and then if people like it or they don't like it, that shouldn't matter to me.
It's hard though, right? It's hard because the social media carrot is, I'll reward you if you do the thing. And so do the thing, and then you do the thing and you do the thing. And you end up in a place, if you're not conscientious about it, where you didn't mean to go. And now you're curating for the people as opposed to the people coming because they love what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that you're looking at that, and I really want to hear how your experiment goes. That's really cool.
Yeah, and since I've been doing some little doodles and stuff, and it, it 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 surprised me how free I felt when I said, "Well, this nobody's going to see this, so it doesn't matter what I draw." Um, yeah, it's a sense of freedom and almost lightness. So yeah, I'm eager to see where it goes to.
It's interesting to talk to artists who make a living on their art and also use art as self-care, because I think we all run into this little nugget, which is, how do I make a living? How do I appeal to people and be able to support myself? Because that's really important to have food and medicine and all the things. But also, how do I do stuff that feels really good to me and not have it feel oppressive that I have to do this art? How do you balance all of that? I mean, it sounds like you're doing this experiment, but are there other ways?
Um, I don't know, to be honest. I'm pretty lucky that the stuff that people like to see from me is kind of stuff that I enjoy drawing anyway, like my pretty oceanscapes or my women um, or whatever. Like I'm not I don't feel like there's like a gun to my head telling me to draw a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there is overlap there, but um, I think I'd like to do more. Sorry, I'm zoned out. How do I balance? How do I balance? I don't know. I guess I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, a lot of people are, a lot of artists are. It's really hard. It's, I think it's challenging to live in capitalist society, as you mentioned at the very beginning, where what you put out and what you produce is your worth,
Mm,
and then also make a living and then also do it just for you. That's really tricky. I'm going to
yeah.
redirect focus for just a second because I would love to hear how you got started in art at all. Were you a little doodler as a kid? Did you sketch?
Yeah, for sure. Just yeah, drawing a lot as a kid, and it's something that I got noticed for, I guess, and I always really enjoyed it, and it was kind of like a little escape for me, and always doodling and daydreaming, and yeah, so yeah, just started when I was young, and then in my mid 20s ish, I started getting paid for my work, and now I'm here.
Did you get positive feedback as a kid from parental people? Did they tell you your art was good?
Yes, and teachers and yeah.
That's cool. What was the stepping stone from doing it for fun into getting paid? Like, what was your first paid stuff?
I think I was contacted 2012, I believe, to do a comic book cover for Adventure Time. So that was really exciting. And then a couple more covers came in, and then I got to do a book cover. And then, you know, and recently I did a graphic novel with Caitlin Major. And yeah, it's slowly expanded over the years.
Talk
But
more about that comic book, the last one that you just mentioned. Who's the writer?
it's the writer is Caitlin Major, who's an Australian comic creator and also worked at an art studio. Yeah, she's great. It's a really funny book about a man who's like a cat and a cat who's like a man. Um, so it's like this big anthropomorphic cat, and he's got a little pet man, like a little naked man. Yeah, really good stuff.
When does it come out?
They're already out.
Oh,
So I don't know if you can see here, but there's like a little man walking across the keyboard.
yeah, yeah.
So
I love that. Okay. I'm going to have to get that link from you so we can find it and put it up on the interview. That's so cool.
it's a big hit with cat lovers and pet lovers.
And I love Adventure Time. That is a weird, crazy show. There's a lot going on in there.
Mm.
That's one of the ones that I think that's not really for kids, right? Like,
No, it's too much darkness and
yeah,
undertones.
a lot of subtext happening. So how would you suggest that other people who want to follow in the footsteps of someone like you who is now working on a comic book and TV show stuff like that, how do you get in there?
I would say just post your work online and draw from the heart and just be courteous and nice to people and I'd say go to cons or events and I'd say something will pick up for you.
Have you had any big failures?
I had a graphic novel that I was kind of peddling around to a few different publishers and it got rejected. So that was a blow, but it was also a necessary blow and I think it's okay.
Why was it necessary?
I don't know because when you finally get there, it's going to be much sweeter. And I don't know, a lot of successful people deal with a bunch of rejections, and I think you need it because it gives you a thicker skin. And yeah, uh, yeah, rejection is important. It's kind of like a muscle that you flex, and it doesn't make it so painful.
I like to talk about failure because I think that we pretend like it doesn't happen. And it's actually a really huge part of ever being successful. And people who are successful are still failing at lots of things all the time. But we just don't talk about it. We pretend like it's embarrassing to not be good at something instead of just we tried something and it didn't work that way. And so we're going to try it a different way. I was raised that way, to try to be good at stuff before you learned it, which is impossible. So I love that you're saying it's a muscle. It's like you learn how to take rejection. And what is failure? Is being rejected failure? I don't even know if that's true.
No, probably not. Um,
It's helping rule out people who aren't interested so that you can find the people who are, basically.
yes.
How do you do with feedback? Like if somebody says that they didn't like something, how do you deal with that?
I kind of internalize it and then keep going and try to use it in future products or future projects, depending on what the criticism is, I guess. Like some criticisms, I'll just say, just go to hell, I don't care. But some are important stuff to learn. So just take it and don't take it too personally and try to absorb it and think about it and move on.
I'm pretty tender with criticism.
Yeah.
I'm a writer, and so I'll get my piece and I'll submit it to the editor, and then they're like, take this out and this, and they'll take out all the my favorite little things that I put in there, and I'm like, ah.
Oh, that sounds terrible, especially because it's something that's so close to your heart, and to have somebody just kind of clinically pick it apart, that hurts.
Rarely are they wrong, though, is the thing. Like at the end of the day, when the piece is published on their thing, whatever their platform is, they were right. It's better, but it's just hard to get there. It's hard to get there.
Yeah, I think the ego gets in the way sometimes as well.
Do you work on your ego? Do you have a relationship with your ego?
Not really, because I'm always struggling with my self-esteem, I think. uh, but I'm working on it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. The ego is such a fucking liar.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, we all need to do ego work. I'm looking into it on like YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Enneagram? The Enneagram is a personality typing. And that's their whole thing, is they help you see where your ego shows up for your personality type and how it's triggered by your biggest fear and what it looks like when you move towards help. If you want that link, I'll send it to you. I found it super helpful.
Is it like a quiz?
there's 9 types, and I'm a 9. And you read through the descriptions and you kind of self-select what resonates with you, how you would describe yourself. And you can usually tell if you read the biggest fears, like what triggers you. It's like, oh yeah, that's me. They do have a test that you can take that costs money. I don't know that that's necessarily, I think you can do it on your own, but they do have a test available. A lot of creative people they get caught up in the ego stuff so high that they end up using a lot of substances and stuff to cope. Do you find yourself doing that, substance stuff?
No, I don't drink or smoke or anything like that. Um, I think I'm numbing myself at times with like too much internet
Hmm.
or just getting lost in stuff. And then it's like, are you really into this, or are you just trying to escape from reality and numb yourself?
The zoning out thing.
But yeah, zoned out all the time.
Yeah. I think it's necessary to some degree, though. Do you agree?
Yeah.
It's like life is so real.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, reality can be quite scary at times, so sometimes it's necessary for sure.
it's like a self-care coping thing, but then sometimes it gets too much, like with any,
Yeah, I guess it's different for everyone.
yeah. I think I find it in nature.
Yes, yeah.
I
Oh
get
my God, that's the thing now. It's like forest bathing.
forest bathing.
Yeah, it's just for people who are just wired because they're in the city all the time and they're overworked, so they just need to unplug and just go in the woods. And yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
That's a good description. Instead of sunbathing, you're forest bathing.
Just yeah, connect with the nature. That's something that I really miss since moving to Toronto. Actually, just trees and woods and creeks and yeah, just being by the water.
Do you have parks and stuff? Like, where do you go?
Yeah, there's a few parks, and I am actually right by the water, but it's like a giant lake. It's not the ocean, so it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't have that salty smell.
I bet, yeah. That's a good smell. I just did that. I went to Moonstone Beach on the coast, Northern California. That was like that.
Very cool. Is the water warm?
I don't really get in the water. I would think no, because of how wild it is. It's not like the lapping warm beaches in San Diego. So I would guess no, but I don't know. I love to go to the beach. I love the feeling there. I love watching the waves. I feel very energized and then calmed as the waves come in and out. But I don't actually like to swim or get in the water.
Interesting.
Do you like to get in the water?
Yes. Well, in warm water, I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to yeah, cold water.
Hmm.
But I like to see it, and I like to see the waves and the power of it, and yeah, the wild power of the ocean.
Do you like to get knocked around in the water like body surfing?
Body surfing. I like to stand there if the water's warm and just get like rocked around.
Yeah.
Um,
It's probably great for your
I've
lymphatic system or something.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Just what's kind of your mission statement here? Like, are you just trying to show the importance of self-care to people, or?
Yes, the importance of self-care, and also that you don't have to be rich and do things like a cruise. And that everybody needs to do it, especially if you're a creative person. I've been writing and doing art for like 30 years. And my people who are artists, if they don't take care of themselves, end up tanking. And so I think I just have a real tender heart about that. Like, I just want to, because I think creative people are more raw in a lot of ways and more vulnerable in a lot of ways. I'm not sure why those things go together, but it's like spending time where you create and you put something out that's a piece of yourself makes you a little more vulnerable. So I love the idea of sharing self-care tips for all of us and seeing what works for other people and trying new things.
Also, if you do art and that's kind of your living, a lot of times your kind of living space and your workspace are one and the same. So that can be really difficult to deal with because again, you're not getting out. Um, you're not getting out in the space and getting out in the air, and you start to feel very isolated if you're stuck inside and just isolated within your own mind and caught up in the work you're doing. And so it's really important to kind of take a step back and make sure you're doing okay.
You're so right about that. And that's not even a thing that we've touched on, that when your workplace is your home, how you even balance that. Because it can feel like you should be working all the time.
Yes, and that's a big, massive thing. And I dealt with severe burnout in the last couple of years because when I was completing that graphic novel, I had this kind of really hectic, terrible schedule where I was just working all the time, at the same desk. I didn't take any weekends or any time off, and I just always felt like I had to be working. And how come you're not finishing this faster? Hurry up! And then I'd procrastinate because I was stressed out by the workload, and then that would make it worse. And yeah, I ended up kind of becoming a bit of a zombie. And looking back now, I can realize how toxic that environment was. And if I was to do it all again, I would certainly make some big changes.
What would you do? What would you change?
I would have a more of a set schedule. So I would actually try to get my work finished in the morning rather than leaving it till supper time because I'm stressed out all day. I think you need to have structure in your day. And I would get outside every day. I would see people. I try to get good sleep and just keep my physical health, topped up. And I would actually take weekends off because you need to kind of get away from it and distance yourself and replenish your fuel tank and your social tank and then get back to work instead of just totally burying yourself in the workload and the stress nonstop, because that's just going to make you really sick and it's going to make your mind sick and your body sick, and it's just no good for anybody.
Yeah, totally that. It's like you have to structure your day like if you were going to work. Like, we're going to start at this time, we're going to end at this time, and then the rest of the time, this space that I live in is not my work environment.
Yeah, exactly. I would also say, like, don't work in your bedroom because then you associate your bedroom with work, and that can be add more stress to that zone in your place. If you can, maybe like take your work to a coffee shop and then say, okay, I'm at work now, rather than just try to get out and socialize and see other humans, because it can be very isolating and lonely at times when you're working as a freelancer.
Do you have things that you tell yourself to like give yourself a little pep talk, little reminders? Like, I stick things on Post-it notes everywhere to remind me that I'm doing a good job. I'm just wondering if you have a method.
I kind of talk to myself physically.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, I'll kind of just take a deep breath and say, okay, Kelly, like, you're feeling a bit stressed and a bit overwhelmed today, but that's okay. You're human. It's okay to feel this way. And just take it 1 hour and one day at a time, and you'll get through this. And so I don't know if that sounds a bit kooky, but, just talk yourself up like you would a friend.
What is a successful day to you? Like at the end and you're like, this was a good day. What did that day look like?
If I got some client work done, if I crossed a few things off my to-do list, if I spoke to my parents or my friends, and if I got out to get some exercise. That's a good day for me.
That's a pretty good day.
Yeah. And
Thank you. Oh, sorry. What else?
oh, sorry, and just didn't dwell on negativity too much, I guess.
What do you say to yourself when the negative things come in? How do you not dwell?
I just tell myself it's okay to feel this way, but this will pass.
That's a good one.
Because I think if we reject the negative feelings and try to push them away, um, I don't think that's productive. And I think we're human, and it's okay to have a really shitty, miserable day. But just allow those feelings to happen and kind of sit with them. But just know that they will pass, and yeah, you just kind of ride the roller coaster.
I think that's a good thing to keep in mind all the time, even when I'm super happy, is that this is also going to pass. And then the expectation of always feeling great goes away because I know this is just part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually made a little comic on my Instagram. I'll send you a picture of it, but it said, I actually felt a lot happier when I stopped putting pressure on myself to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I'd love to say that. All right, we're about to get kicked out.
Oh
So
gosh. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
thank you so much for being here with me. I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate what you're doing. It sounds really poignant and important.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a good day. Rest up.
You too. Bye.